Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Dr. Jeff Musgrave, Doctor of Physical Therapy, proudly serving in the older adult division of the Institute of Clinical Excellence, which is bringing you this podcast today. I'm going to be discussing with you an interesting systematic review that I came across, realizing that exercise may have a vibrant impact on the gut microbiome. So if you're like me and it's been a minute since you've been through physical therapy school, we're going to do a little review of what the microbiome is, how it impacts aging, and then how exercise, the role that exercise plays in healthy aging as it relates. So the systematic review is titled Systematic Review of the Effects of Aging and Physical Activity on the Gut Microbiome of Older Adults. So what in the world is the gut microbiome? So trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses that play a vital part in regulating a lot of metabolic processes, absorption of nutrients, and also in inflammatory regulation of inflammatory processes. I'll spit it out in a second. So important metabolites that are found there, short chain fatty acids, which help regulate glucose balance, crucial for keeping a healthy pancreas and having healthy glucose levels. Bile acids, which help aid in the digestion of fats, and antimicrobial defenses as well. We've got lipopolysaccharides, which are linked to inflammation, regulating inflammatory processes, as well as insulin resistance. So some really important players there. Also, the gut microbiome helps with absorbing B vitamins. B vitamins we know are helpful for regulating energy levels, brain function, DNA, and NRA synthesis. We think about different transcription errors and things that can lead to sinister conditions like cancer with not being able to properly replicate our DNA chains. And we've got immune system and hair and skin growth just from absorption of B vitamins. Also, the gut microbiome is helpful in vitamin K synthesis. Now, I think most of us are familiar with its role in the clotting process and the clotting cascade if someone were to have a bleed. But also it's helpful in absorption of calcium, which can support bone growth. So lots of really critical processes and absorption of critical micronutrients are related to the function of having a healthy gut microbiome. Another thing that's really interesting about this is there are natural shifts over time in the gut microbiome where it can increase inflammatory agents, reduce the ability to absorb some of these key micronutrients. And we know in general, these shifts in inflammation and not getting some of these critical micronutrients are related to conditions like diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease. And we know that these are accelerants to the aging process. We know if we want to hit fast forward and see someone age very quickly, we ramp up inflammation. We see someone become obese. We see cardiovascular disease come on board, and we see function plummet dramatically. So that's a little background on the gut microbiome and what happens in the aging process. As we get into this study, there were seven studies included in this systematic review. 4 were observational. The other 3 were randomized control trials. So the key findings from these studies were that exercise influences gut bacterial composition, increasing beneficial bacteria, reducing the harmful bacteria that can lead to some of those chronic conditions. So it's important to note that the microbial diversity shifted, but there were inconsistencies in the study and how much in which bacteria shifted based on the study and the interventions. But overall, there was still a positive association and link towards better gut health, metabolic function, and overall well-being. The 2 types of physical activity that were studied across those, there was not a whole lot of consistency, but the 2 major types were aerobic training and then combined training. So we didn't see strength training. We didn't see specifically only high or low intensity aerobic training. We didn't see a mixed modal approach of high intensity strength or aerobic training. So we can't really say with confidence what type of exercise was most effective, but physical activity did have a positive association. So it's important as we kind of recap this study that the gut microbiome plays a vital role in the aging process and having healthy aging. So we can't really say what type of exercise it needs to be. We do know that it's very freeing from that standpoint because any type of physical activity seemed to be beneficial, whether it was aerobic or combined training. Love to see in the future studies that looked very specifically at one type of intervention. However, I can only imagine across the landscape of literature at this time, there's not a ton of studies to say here's high intensity versus low intensity. Just doesn't seem to be out there at the time. But it did have a profound and complex effect on our ability to absorb micronutrients. So what? So what do we do with all this information? We can feel even more confident that a fitness forward approach is going to be beneficial for older adults, not only from building physical reserve, fighting chronic disease, but also some of the more critical um, nutrient driven processes for our bodies in vitamin K, vitamin B synthesis, having shifts in bacteria that are helpful for absorption and fighting inflammation, which is really interesting benefit to exercise and healthy aging. So just more benefits to exercise and having a fitness forward approach, which should always also include nutrition. Obviously, nutrition plays a huge role, although that's not what this study was looking at. We know that the link to fighting chronic disease, inflammation, being able to break down and get the type of vitamins that we need for healthy aging, like nutrition has got to be part of what we are teaching for our older adults. So that is a quick overview on this study. I'll have the DOI listed in the show notes. If you're interested in learning more about how to take a fitness forward approach with older adults, our online courses for level 1, the next cohort is the 15th of March. Level 2 will be the 16th if you've already got level 1. If you're trying to catch us out on the road to have some more hands-on skills, get some coaching, get some tips and tricks for working with people across settings and using a fitness forward approach, we're going to be out on the road for live on March 15th and then just outside of Chicago on the 22nd of March. And we are all over the country this year. So just take a look, see what's convenient for you. We would love to have you in a course if more of this type of information would be helpful. Have a wonderful Wednesday. And that's what we've got for you today, team.